February is Black History Month, and Rockville brings you this special celebration of activists, pioneers, city leaders, and storytellers who remind us of the many contributions African Americans have made to our country. To commemorate and celebrate the contributions of African Americans, Rockville proclaims February 2019 as National African American History Month, or more commonly known as Black History Month. Rockville resident Fritz Wilson was given the honor of receiving the proclamation.
And I came here in 1971. And out of all of the different things that I've done and that's received here in Rockville, I consider the proclamation today to validate my residence in Rockville, Maryland.
Rockville has a rich African American history and a strong community that keeps that history alive. You can watch the full presentation of the proclamation on the City of Rockville's YouTube page. Just search Rockville African American History Month. Rockville celebrates Black History Month by shining a spotlight on Rockville's new City Clerk, Director of Council Operations, Sarah Taylor Farrell. You could say that it's a family affair.
Hi, I'm Sarah Taylor Farrell, the City Clerk, Director of Council Operations for the City of Rockville.
And I'm Eric Farrell, Copy Center Mail Specialist for the City of Rockville, and proud to say that Sarah Taylor Farrell is my wife.
Eric and Sarah have both worked for the City of Rockville for decades. Eric even growing up in the city in one of Rockville's historic African American communities.
I grew up in the community of Lincoln Park, and everybody in there was like family. And you know, still to this day, we all get along.
They are friends. They grew up with their mothers pushing them in the stroller down Lincoln Avenue. Neighbors knowing each other and looking out for each other. That's what you call a community and a neighborhood.
We lived a good life in Lincoln Park. Miss it.
But Sarah's journey to becoming City Clerk Director of Council Operations began in Virginia, where she was a mentor to young girls, helping them build their self-esteem.
I always knew growing up in such a small community of Winchester, Virginia, where it's a small, quaint little town, and there wasn't really much for the youth to do. So I just knew that one day I wanted to be a part of something that helped the community, that made a difference.
Fast forward over 2 decades later, where she is now a leader in Rockville and a role model for women who may be looking for a career in government.
It'll be 26 years in July of this year. I started out in community services when it was youth and family services. And then I went to the city clerk's office in 1996 and started out as the assistant to the city clerk, and then moved to deputy city clerk, and now I am the city clerk, director of council operations.
And as City Clerk Director of Council Operations, Sarah will become a part of history. She, along with the Board of Supervisors of Elections and other county officials, will oversee Rockville's first vote-by-mail election in November of 2019.
I love what I do, and I'm excited because this year we're going to do vote by mail, one of the first municipalities to do vote by mail. So it's exciting. It's a rewarding experience when I get to be that person to do something that has never been done before.
With such an important task at hand, Sarah keeps in mind a quote by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to stay motivated.
Faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the full staircase. You have to have faith, and you never know which direction you're going to be taking that day. And I do it with grace and pride and a smile on my face.
With her head held high, this sister, wife, and mother is proud to be part of the Rockville family and a part of Rockville's Black history.
Rockville is very special to me. For one, my husband grew up in Lincoln Park, but because Rockville has unique neighborhoods, particularly to African American communities of Hayti and Lincoln Park, both communities have my friends and family members who are very proud of me and how I've moved up in the city, and they're always there to support me and let me know each and every day how proud and how well of a job I have done for the city of Rockville.
Rockville 11 celebrates Black History Month with this Black History fact. It's something that many of you can't get from A to B without. I'm talking about your Global Positioning System, or GPS. And a Black woman played a critical role in the development of this technology. Dr. Gladys West worked with a team of engineers that developed the GPS. As a mathematician, West never knew her work at the U.S. Navy base in Virginia back in the 1950s and 60s would play such a pivotal role in history. Her work helped contribute to the accuracy of GPS and the measurement of satellite data. Today, Dr. West is still in awe at how her technology evolved into such a modern necessity. She said, quote, "When you're working every day, you're not thinking what impact is this going to have on the world. You're thinking, I've got to get this right." And get it right she did. Here's to you, Dr. Gladys West, the hidden figure behind GPS. Coming up on Rockville 11's Black History Month special, find out more about the civil rights and LGBTQ activists that inspired a community to name a school after him. Plus, we'll meet a City of Rockville employee who is taking teaching Black history beyond the month of February. It's all on the way right after this. March is Women's History Month. Rockville 11 and the Marion Council want to shine a spotlight on some of the women whose leadership and dedication make the city the best place to live in the state. Rockville 11 is celebrating Women's History Month with a Facebook Live series. Look for it all month long on the City of Rockville's Facebook page. In 2018, the Montgomery County Board of Education voted to name the new Rockville Elementary School Bayard Rustin Elementary. Bayard Rustin was a believer in nonviolence, a socialist, a civil rights organizer, and an openly gay Black man. Rustin played a key role in the organizing, coordinating, and even marketing of the historic 1963 March on Washington, where the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave his inspiring "I Have a Dream" speech.
Without Bayard Rustin as the organizer, the March on Washington would have been like a bird without wings.
Rockville 11 got a chance to walk the halls of the school before the doors opened to the students and discovered how modern technology will be key to helping shape the minds of the students that will fill these classrooms.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rachel DuBois, the very proud principal of the brand new Bayard Rustin Elementary School. I'd like to take you around, tour the school, and show you some of the really great spaces we have that our children will be enjoying in just a few days. The best part about opening a new school is that it's a blank slate. It's really a kid-centered approach of, when you're a kid learning in a classroom, what kind of space do you want to be in every day? We're going to have almost 600 students this first year. We're going to have K through 5, and we'll have 2 special programs, the Chinese Immersion Program. In addition, we're also a world language school. So that means children K through 5, whether they're in the immersion program or not, will also have world language classes. We're one of 2 elementary schools piloting the elementary world language program this year. Our biggest goal of the school is to build relationships with the community, build relationships with our kids, build relationships with our staff. Our staff is all coming from different schools in Montgomery County Public Schools. They're amazing teachers, but we need to work on building our culture and our community from the ground up. We're going to kick the year off with our theme of All Are Welcome. We're going to read a book in our school by Alexandra Penfold called All Are Welcome. It's about accepting differences, being inclusive, and how all of our differences really make us an amazing school. So I think everyone is excited and really understands that the legacy starts today. You know, this is it. We're all part of it together.
When you come to Rockville City Hall, she is just one of the people there to greet you. But there's so much more to Connie Robinson. She's an educator of Black history, and she uses her acting skills to tell the stories of abolitionists who helped so many along their journey to freedom through the Underground Railroad and other unsung Black history heroes.
It's the story of thousands of folks who went to the Underground Railroad for assistance. Sometimes they left on boats, sometimes they left on a railroad car, even a horse if it was available. They used whatever means possible in order to get to their freedom. Black History Month, I love it for a reason. The reason that if any time that we can get to tell those stories, to bring up our history, I want to use that time. A month, no, it's not enough. It's too much history to put into a month because we helped build this country. We should be recognized. Our ancestors should be recognized. And I want our young people to get involved. I am determined while I am here for them to get to know as much of it as possible so that once they feel that same pride and that passion, they will go around and tell the same stories. When they hear the stories of Mary Peg Bond, I want them to realize that these people, they didn't get awards and Nobel Peace Prizes. They didn't get acknowledged even. I wanted to portray a woman, a businesswoman. That's what Mrs. Mary Peg Bond was. She was a businesswoman, but she was an abolitionist. And the more I read her stories, the more and more I learned about her papa, who owned 3 businesses in 1847. That was unheard of. I don't want our stories to be forgotten. I want our young people to know we have some stories to be proud of as well. Not just the horror stories of enslavement. I want them to hear the triumph stories. When we were coming up in high school, in elementary school, the things that we learned about Black history, I wouldn't even call them Black history. Those weren't the kind of stories that I wanted to learn about. Do you know that we came out of those chains, that we broke those chains, that we took those whips? Those are stories of resilience, determination, and pride to make us the people that we are today. When you read your history and when you study your history, that pride, that confidence, it comes. And this is what I want for our next generation, this generation, to stand up and take pride in their legacies and in their history. Rockville to me is a very exciting place. Lincoln Park, Beale Street, there's so much history here, and believe me, I am beginning to research it. Rose Weems, she was an abolitionist that my character, Mary Peg Bond, worked with. Her family was from Rockville. They were enslaved in Rockville. Their owner was one of the richest slave holders in this area. So there are so many interesting stories. I want people to know that we have such a rich, amazing history. Don't just remember Martin Luther King. Don't just remember Rosa Parks or Harriet Tubman. Remember Mary Peg Bond. Remember some of those other people that deserve their stories to be carried on with pride and with dignity. We were a determined people. Education was so important to us. And I want this young generation to know education is truly freedom. Without education, without employment opportunities, without jobs and recreation opportunities, life doesn't mean a whole lot.
Still to come on Rockville 11's Black History Month special, a Black History lesson, as Connie Robinson tells us a story of a walk of faith that should never be forgotten.
My name is Mrs. Mary Peck Bond. I was born in Carlisle, Pennsylvania on February 22nd, 1837. I moved with my family to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, when I was just a little girl. Pennsylvania was a free state. My papa provided a quality education for me and my brothers. He always said, education is the true road to freedom. My papa was able to provide a comfortable living for his family. He was a proud businessman. He owned 3 businesses downtown Pittsburgh: Peck's Oyster House, a wig and hair manufacturing business, and a used clothing store right next to Joseph Horne's department store. Well, I soon found out that my papa had another business, a very secret business. I found out that my papa was a conductor on the Underground Railroad. He used his 3 businesses to help feed, clothe, and disguise them with his wigs and hairpieces. Late one summer evening, my papa shook me awoke. I followed my papa outside. We went to the root cellar of the restaurant. It was dark. I looked over to the corner. Crouched down low was a family, a man and a woman and 2 little children around my age. They looked frightened. Their clothes were tattered and they had no shoes on their feet. Papa told me to take them to the kitchen, turn on no lights, and feed them some slices of meat, bread, and milk, and pack them a little for their journey. I did as I was told, then I took them back to Papa. You know, I never heard from that family or any of the other families that we helped on their journey up north to freedom. But I would always pray for them because they were taking a walk of faith that should never be forgotten.